This is probably everyone who's going to come in, so we will get started.
Smaller.
I know. Oh, just kidding. How are you? Welcome. Glad to have you join us today. Ooh, awesome. Hi, Kim.
You put this there.
Grab some chocolate off of another table.
Okay. Gotcha.
So welcome back, everybody. You can finish wherever you're at in your conversation, and we'll get started. So we've got some interesting things to do today, but also reflect on our whole year so far. And I'm really excited to hear some of the new things you guys have tried, and a couple of you had math nights since the last time we were here, so I'm interested to hear what happened. But to get started, we'll just read through our purpose again, just to reorient ourselves. Why did we come here for all 5 sessions? And I think this is something that can continue through the summer and next year, and just keep thinking about what are just different ways to involve families and communities in mathematics. So what we're going to start with today is a little inclusion activity, and I figured out how to put a GIF on Google Slides, so I'm pretty proud of myself. So in a moment, you're going to stand and share your response to the following question, which I'll let you read there for just a moment. Spoiler alert, if you didn't get the chance to always put something in your implementation guide, that is okay to share something else that you would like to say was evidence that you collected. So partner A is going to share first, and then partner B will share. You'll pause, practice that paraphrasing, maybe ask a few follow-up questions to go deeper. Switch roles, partner B will share, pause, paraphrase, ask some questions. And then be prepared to share out to the room, a few of you, something that you heard or something that you shared. So the way what questions do you have about that to begin with? Okay, and the way we're going to partner up, we're going to do a shoe partner again. So try to find someone with similar shoes as you today. Stand up if you have to. Move around. Share some success. So whatever you said or heard, either one. So look for 3 people. So there's one. Here, we'll wait till we get our other ones. So she's going to go first, but who else can we count on? 2 and 3. So go ahead.
With my counting collections, I don't know if I even said this before, but one of the things I've noticed is I have just kind of saw my kids have a breakthrough where their counting is like really coming along. Like they can group by 5s. They're discovering ways to group by 10s. And they're working together as partners. They're not one sitting here counting and the other sitting here counting. It's like, no, together we need to. So a lot of skills are coming together, a lot of number sense I'm seeing. So that was like a big breakthrough. It's like, okay, wow, this is working good. I love this.
So through counting collections, you built a lot of concepts, but also social learning behaviors.
Yeah.
Wow. We might have to dive into more of how you put that into place and how you structured it. Thank you for sharing that. Jason.
Pretty excited to, the planning happened this year. We didn't implement it, but the planning for our math night conversation was serious this year. So hopefully next year we will be able to put that into place. A colleague of mine, Amanda Krieger, a fellow 2nd grade teacher, is really all about getting stuff like that, and she's on board with things like that, trying new things. I don't think the other 2 know of our intentions yet, but we're going to strong on them. We've done it before and they've come along with us, so. But I think it would be good, and I think we'd get decent turnout too, based on other nights, special nights that we have at our school. They're pretty well attended, so the seriousness of our conversation about getting that together for next year's, I think it's going to happen.
So we understand to make a good big event, planning is very important. So you guys are very intentional about that planning. And you're going to bring the others along whether they want to or not.
Yeah.
but-
I don't have it.
You'll have to let us know when it is, and we'll stop by. It'll be fun.
We just talked about basically how the counting collections, I know Julie because she was in she's in my room. So she was, and then both teachers wanted to use the matching, the one that we did a long time ago. No one's done that yet, but they both want to try that. So it's just a lot of stuff to bring in for all those kids.
So you found people willing to try these new ideas and check it out, but it is a lot of prep and bringing stuff inside. But that's exciting. So the next thing that we're going to transition to is still looking at some of our reflections through the year, and I hope nobody minds, but I did take sentences from different people's reflections and some pictures. It's all anonymous. These aren't going anywhere. And I just pulled the different parts. Mostly I tried to stick to some of the last couple of implementation guides versus the very beginning, just so it's further through the year, so more reflection. So what I'd like you to do with your partner is to just pick a spot in the room that has a quote or a picture and just spend a moment reading it, say something about it, and then move around until you've gone through all of them. So at that,
Write something on the paper?
you could even write something if you want. I think that would be an interesting, they call it like a chalk talk. So yeah, go ahead, underline or circle anything or write something, but also keep in your mind, I want you to look for patterns or things that you're noticing and wondering about. But you could write them on there too, which would be interesting. So what questions do you have before you start? You're with your partner, you're just rotating around the room, reading it, say something about it, maybe something you noticed or what you wondered. Write on it if you'd like, and then move on to the next. So I didn't get to make it all the way around with my partner because we just had lots of things to talk about. But what are some things that you noticed overall or wondered as you walked through and looked at these different quotes that I stole off of people's reflections?
I like the one about a student who had I think it was an aha moment, or it was their jam in math, and it got to shine bright.
So who didn't typically share, but was able, and it was exciting for everyone.
Yeah, that's it. Those are such cool moments.
And I don't know if that person is in here who that's from, but would wonder more to that story. What else happened with that student? But that whatever task that was accessible and
Right.
seemed like the right space and the right time for that student, which is really exciting.
And I'm willing to wager that they went home and talked about that with their folks.
What else did you guys notice or wonder about? Or any patterns that stood out to you?
I've noticed that a pattern is a lot of increased engagement between families and the students.
Does everyone else feel that way too? What do you think adds to that engagement and excitement? What made it different?
I think they had an entry point, parents have an entry point. What kind of struck me too is that counting collections and games and things, it was kind of like in the past, people just did those things, and so maybe parents have done these before and they get so busy, and this is like a good reminder for them, like it's okay to do this when you are working on math, and it's kind of owning that, and like we talked about at the very beginning, when they try to get homework, it would be maybe a struggle, or they didn't understand it. It's something that parents could do as a family. It's there.
So it's accessible to students and parents with that low entry, but it can go pretty deep depending on what you're asking. Would anyone like to add on to that?
I was just
Yeah, go
thinking, it just also gives them permission to have fun with homework and with math, because that's something they're familiar with, like the games they used to play as kids, and say, okay, that's okay, you can still do that with your kids, and it's okay to engage and have fun while you're doing homework.
So math has kind of taken on this stigma as calculation and lots of it repeated through a worksheet or something like that, and sucked the joy out of it. And this is a way to start bringing that back in. So we're changing the narrative of what math is.
And it looks so different compared to the way a lot of our parents were taught it, and us as well. And so I think, when a lot of my parents jump to how they learned how to do it with their students before we are at that process yet in class, then everybody gets frustrated. But when we present a way that everybody can understand that this is the process and this is a fun way to do this, and you are capable of doing this math this way too, just like your student is, even though it's different than how we taught it, it kind of gives like a win to the parents at home and empowerment to them too, where sometimes, at least I know in our building, because we have a lot of language parents, they don't feel like they have that power or that ability to win at home.
So when parents are better informed of the purpose and the reasons why students are doing tasks like this or being asked to solve it without using the standard algorithm for all those different ways, it's helpful.
Yeah, and it creates then that fun, that activity that's different than what their expectation would be then, because we're doing these different activities like this and showing them how to do those and giving them that opportunity.
Has anyone given some math problems at a party with other adults yet?
Yes.
Yes. How'd it go?
Well, at first it's, no, I don't want to do math. And they start to get red in the face. And it's like, it's okay, what do you, and then they start exploring it, and they're like, oh, that's cool, I wish I had a teacher like you when I was a kid. Like, oh, that's not the intention. We all have different ways to approach it.
And it can change a conversation at a party sometimes,
Yeah.
even just where people are like, oh, ask another one. Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else that you noticed or wondered about before we transition? Does it seem like we found some low entry points to get kids and parents excited in doing math? And so isn't that the goal?
Right.
And then building on from there. So we're going to try something a little different. But first, we'll just revisit the outcomes of our whole 5 sessions. And really today we're just back to that designing and implementing some more ideas that we might want to share and try with families. And any feedback you get that you can share with us, that would be really helpful. Something that went really well or something that didn't go so well, so we can all learn from it. Very short agenda today. We've done our welcome. We've shared some success already. We're going to do #sidewalk math in just a minute. We're going to do some planning and reflecting. That's pretty much our session today. This is my 2 older kids. Just this week, I didn't make them do this. They love playing out in the front yard. We live on Lyons Street, so if anyone's familiar with Martha's Vineyard, that store, we live right down the street. And there's lots of traffic, and our yard is tiny, but they love just being right out front. And people come by all the time, but they made up this game. And you have to run around on that tiny little circle. And I just yell out, stop, randomly while I'm just doing stuff out there. And then they have to stop and plant their 2 feet, add the 2 numbers together, and then do the hopscotch to that number. But if it's higher than 10, then they get a grass tally mark. And then there's like all these different things that happen in here. But the goal is to either land exactly on 10 or get higher than 10 each time. And I think when I said stop, you could see him kind of like doing some of those moves. But She's 7. She created the game, and that's my 5-year-old learning along with her. So that's pretty fun. I didn't think about it, but sidewalks are all over the place and accessible to everybody. And we have a neighbor who lives a couple blocks over and always walks past our house, and so in the summer we leave chalk out, and then she always writes a message, and then my kids write a message back, and every once in a while someone will draw something weird 2 a.m. that we have to kind of spray off the sidewalk, but that's fun. And it's cool to know we're communicating with more people. So then I came across, sorry, we're going to skip it. This is kind of our journey so far. We'll skip past that for now. I came across #sidewalk_math. And so this was a presentation at some sort of math camp. And so their charge is to put math in public spaces so that you can talk about it with your neighbors, with your kids, get people to just see it in a different place and leave a trace of math. So what you're supposed to do is just put something out on the sidewalk and leave chalk out there so that someone can engage with that mathematics.
That's what I just thought.
I know. So that might be the question you write on there. Like, what are we talking about? Because what's the threshold? Where would it start to be % off versus the $20 off? That's something you have to solve if anyone does M-Perks. And sometimes you get enough coupon points, and then you can pick $20 off. Well, I think it's $10 off or 10%. I don't think they give you 20% ever.
I think if you
Or
do
prescriptions.
prescription
Yes.
one, you can get. But you have to hold on to them.
I know. It takes, you got to build up. It takes a long time. So what I'm going to invite you to do is we're going to go outside. And I think the rain's going to hold off. I was like, please don't rain right now. I bought some sidewalk chalk and baby wipes if anyone hates that feeling of the chalk on your hands afterwards. But we are going to spend about 10-ish minutes. Maybe it won't take that long. But when I started to think about what would I put in front of my house, like, oh, it's not as easy as you think to come up with like a nice question to engage people with on the sidewalk. So think about an idea. You could jot down anything. There's Post-it notes or note cards in those little boxes. Then we're going to go outside, grab a piece of chalk, and write it out there. The rest of MichME is going to be so jealous of our group. And we're going to leave some chalk out there for people leaving to engage with your questions. But if you have time, go find one that looks interesting to you that someone wrote and answer it or respond. So you can kind of see what went on out there. Use this to go. I might have to click on that. That one's a little hard to see, but it's like one of those puzzles where see, like banana plus apple equals orange, and then you get a series of different equations, and you have to figure out what banana equals. Oh, we didn't get to the end of that one. What was the whole question?
Would you rather have 3/4 or 3/16 lemons in your lemonade?
That could get some different responses.
Mm-hmm.
By that picture, how many branches do you think are on that tree?
Oh, that's cool.
Anyone want to throw out an estimate?
112.
Yeah, and then it's what counts as a branch and what counts as like a twig. That's what I'm wondering about right now. I don't know if you can read that one very well, but that one says, what fraction of the pizza will you eat? Nom nom. This one has pepperoni on it, I think so. How many steps will it take to get to your car? Does anyone have a Fitbit on or something? You should really get an accurate result. And then this was a way just to collect data. like tacos, burgers, or pizza. And as we're walking in, thinking like, you could have, like, add your own on there too, something you wanted, pad thai. But lots of possibilities there just with chalk, and I was thinking about what else can you do over the summer. And there's no law against putting chalk on sidewalks, so if you went somewhere downtown where you see a lot of people are walking, or at the playground, or wherever it might be that you go, just to put a question out there to get people thinking about it. That's all. We'll go back here. So I just wanted to reflect on our journey real quick of how we started. So the first thing we did was just to think about putting ourselves in the shoes of the parents or community members, and what is it like with math at home, and what can we learn from what parents are feeling and experiencing. And so we had all those charts. We heard stories of frustration, but also stories of people wanting more fact practice and things like that. So it was just a mixed bag. We did work with counting collections in here and thinking about how we could use those in our classroom, and with parents and invite them to count with their kids. We played some games that could easily go home that had a lot of math concepts. And that was right around Christmas time, so that kind of spurred that idea of you could send one home to play at Christmas. Some of you guys had a math night where you made the Mancala games, right? And some like that went well. And then last time we kind of chose something that we wanted to work towards, like a math night, something to send home, or bringing family math back into the classroom. I have also been doing some work on a math night in a grocery store, just with the amount, like the time of year wasn't right. I mean, anything right now would not get well attended because there's just so many other things going on. So I also am talking to a grocery store about the fall, and thinking about doing something like that. So what we're going to transition into next is something similar to that. Oh, sorry. Is we're going to pick and plan together, making sure to establish a purpose. Why are we going to plan this thing? What do we want students and families to get out of it? What do we want to learn from students and families? Who's my audience? Who might I need to partner with that's not in this room? And what else do I need to consider in terms of equity and access? The low entry type of a thing. Is it accessible? Is it free? One of the things up there mentioned the games were fun because they could use things from around the house. It wasn't like you had to go out and buy something special. You could just use what's there. So I think anything that is simple and easy tends to go a long way. So just last week, I don't know if any of you have seen this book, that Rad Women A to Z. So it's just Rad American Women. So it's just an alphabet book, a different type of one. And so each letter is a different woman. And if any of you have seen electrical boxes downtown, Downtown GR Inc. Partnered with a bunch of female artists, and they're all painting the electrical boxes downtown. Or 26 of them. So one for each of these. And the author came and talked to kids. So that's my daughter in the red sweater there. Super pumped just to learn. And I thought that was such a cool way to engage people downtown with just these paintings on electrical boxes. And then it says who it is on the side, and they have these walking tours you can take, and an app you can download and just listen about these different women. And someone pointed out that it's on electrical boxes, so these women are representing power. I'm like, oh, it goes even deeper. But what a simple thing to start engaging people thinking about these women in history. And she picked women that are not so well known. Like this one looks like it could be Amelia Earhart, but it is not. And so If anyone wants to look at that later, you can. And so I thought, well, I'm trying to think bigger and thinking about what could we partner with the city that's mathematical? Like what could just be out there as a math provocation as people are walking around? And so that's just something I'm thinking about in my mind and trying to make the right connections of who, I don't even know what the idea could be, but there's a lot of possibilities. Like if you can get people interested in learning about more women of history by painting electrical boxes, like what else can we do for math? And I've also been thinking about that at the library. They do a lot of the summer reading programs. So I contacted in Grand Rapids the youth specialist, and so she's on board with thinking about what could we either leave out just for families to do at leisure, what displays could they really work on that promotes mathematics and mathematical thinking, and working on changing that narrative that math is more about play, or it can be about play, and it's not just computation. So those are some ideas that I'm thinking about. It doesn't have to be what you are thinking about, but if anyone's interested in thinking through some of that with me, I would love some partners. But here's what I am asking you to do for the next 25-ish minutes. Is kind of pick what's something that you would still like to put some energy into. I know it's getting to the end of the year, so that's really hard. But some parents ask for things for the summer, like what can I do with my kid over the summer, or you're sending things home to prep for the next year. So there's lots of different things that parents could be at least connected with. So think about if you would like to start thinking, we're going to have our curriculum night open house in the fall. Maybe we could do something really math specific or kind of set the tone for math for the year. Or maybe I just want to think about giving a list of math books they could check out from the library and read together. That's where this like Mathy Books link is. Another district did math calendars. I'm not saying to copy and use theirs, because I think there could be some different things put in there. But if you click on that, it gives you a link, and they have calendars for kids going from kindergarten to first, from kids going from first to second, and it's just a list of, like, try to do 20 things this month, but each day has something different, like, I don't know, count backwards from 300 and stop at 250, or depending on the grade level. Count all the stuffed animals in your house, or just all these different little things to do each day that aren't necessarily a worksheet, but some activities together at home. So that might be worth checking out. And then public math is kind of that thing I was thinking about in my brain. It's just math out in the public somewhere that's not really attached to school or anything like that. And so Math Anywhere is a really interesting website that has stuff you can bring to your library and just say, like, could you guys put this out? Or I think they have it for a pizza restaurant, some other place too. So just worth checking out. Just think for a moment, what seems the most interesting to you? And let's see, I know everyone doesn't like to move, but if you're really interested in thinking about a curriculum night or open house, maybe kind of come here in the middle. If you're interested in kind of math at home or sending something home for the summer, kind of come in this area over here. And if you're interested in like a public math project, just even in your community or, I don't know, Greater Grand Rapids, kind of hang out in this area. So curriculum night, open house, math at home, public math.
You introduced me to tiny graphics. Tiny? Or what is it? I got it back now. They used to, I was just on it with that one.
I went to Candace this year, and she's sitting next to her, she's so. How how'd you do that?
Canvas. You use it, you have
Other people are leaving, so we'll shut this door real quick. And now the sun's out. What? Okay, we are going to bring our session to a close. And I'm really bummed it is now sunny outside. Like, I mean, I'm happy it's sunny right now, but of course, when I try to go outside, it rains. So we're just going to quickly, we won't share out about this at the moment, but just think about how might you bring the work that you've done here back to your building. There is that link below for Progress Monitor, but before we do that, I just want to jump ahead to this reflection. I just want you to think for a moment on just different learning that stands out to you. You can either think about how it's impacted your identity, values, behaviors, or just motivated you to try something or something you're excited about. So it doesn't have to necessarily be about your identity itself, but it could be about something that you'd like to try and you want to share that out. You don't need to journal that at the moment, but I will invite you, as you've been reflecting and just thinking about how has this impacted your journey, either as something that you'd like to try or something that's changed in your identity. Share that out to the group. Take a little risk and stand up and do it. Just whenever you're ready.
Thank you for bringing games and things for us to do. This is always powerful for me to present it myself first. And I'm transitioning from a coaching kind of role where I'm able to share things with other people to going back into the classroom this coming fall. So I'm really excited to take a lot of the ideas that we shared in here and tweak them for a little older kiddos, because I'll be in a 6th grade classroom. But just reminding us of the power of fun and the connection and joy that comes with math that we owe to our families to share. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing. We look forward to hearing how it goes in your classroom.
As a kindergarten teacher, it is very hard to incorporate age-appropriate activities for these tiny little people. And with the curriculum being shoved down your throat and having to fit so much into a day, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air coming to this. Like, this is my favorite part of MichME. And being able to bring back those games and let them have fun, but yet still see that their brains learning, those wheels are turning, and they're starting to create conversations that you don't think 6-year-olds could have, and it's from these hands-on engaging activities. So I really enjoy bringing them back to the classroom.
I wish we had a little window into your class to hear those kids talk.
Yes, sometimes you're
but
it's fun.
And I think kindergarten teachers and like lower L teachers, you guys, my hat is off to you, because I came from the middle school classroom and into that world, and it is different. I mean, they both have their differences, but yeah, they keep you on your toes.
It's
for
fun
sure.
to let them be their age for once.
Yes.
That's definitely very rewarding feeling, is just to let them have fun, but yet you know that they're still getting what they need. So, yeah.
I wanted
to add and share just being more mindful of access at home when it comes to math games or math activities. You can't take anything for granted. You have to be mindful. Get to know your kids, connect with your kids, and the parent-home communication or parent-school communication early and positive, and hopefully good things will happen after that.
It's definitely good to have parents as partners and not somebody you gotta have bad conversations with all the time. We'll take 2 more. And we'll close out our time.
Well, I think parents are always looking for ways to do engaging things with their kids at home that's not involving video games. I mean, it's just a real challenge because I have kids in my class that they can't have a conversation about writing or anything that doesn't have to do with video games. So if we can help supply them through, the ideas that you presented in here, or let them know that there are things they can do, just stuff they have at home to engage them and get them to think mathematically and things that parents can understand as opposed to getting lost in Minecraft.
That human connection is so important.
I appreciated like the just the different types of learning that even happened in here. To go outside today, to have those counting collections. The days that we were in here, it was like I agree that it was just really fun to be in this setting and kind of walk around and have different. So even how you presented things and had it hands-on for us, not just telling us we should have it hands-on, but like we actually were able to participate in the learning. So I mean there was a lot of laughter that went on, or a lot of like thinking that went on. I remember the counting collections. When I was doing like groups of 5, but then we went over to like maybe a higher grade, and they were making like bigger and things like, oh wow, I didn't think about that. So even my own learning that took place with those activities, and it was nice afternoons.
Yeah, to continue with that, with us doing the activities, it was easier to internalize it and turn it into the classroom, because we did when we did the pictures of the how many things. I pulled it up and did it with my class, and it was just really interesting to listen to their replies for that, and they were really all engaged in wanting to figure out how many and then revealing the answer. Yeah.
So doing the math is important, but also the simplicity of something like that can really be very powerful. You guys have been so great in these sessions, and I have learned a lot from everyone in here too. And I look forward to hearing what's going on in everyone's schools. And if you're doing a math night or something, please just let me know. I would love to come by and just steal your ideas and also participate and do whatever is going on. And if you have any other ideas that you're thinking about in any of those buckets that we kind of had up there, please send those my way. And I'm always trying to think about what else can we do, what else can we do. And if you know of anyone who wants to fund anything, that'd be awesome too. Well, thank you.
Math night, post it on here so we can then steal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can keep using. I mean, this will be open, our Google Classroom.
So it'll remain open?
I believe so. I think we can still communicate through it. I don't think we delete it. So as long as you don't take yourself out or you have the same email address, it should keep you in there.
Cool.
So if you don't mind, at some point, if you don't do it right now, but do it at some point, that bit.ly, if you want to write that down or click on it later. Otherwise, the rest of the afternoon is yours. Now the sun's out and it's beautiful.
Isn't that funny?
I know. It was field day this afternoon at my kids' school, so hopefully they still got to do stuff.